The parent company of Zenith Bank Ghana sets aside $267 million to cover losses incurred from the domestic debt exchange program.
On the international front, artificial intelligence key figures want training of powerful AI systems to be suspended amid fears of a threat to humanity.
We've got details of all these stories plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments, and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on Twitter. Share your comments, and we promise to share them with the rest of the world.
The news now in detail, and the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has promised over $1 billion to women entrepreneurship across Africa. The pledge will also include another $60 million in the Women in Digital Fund.
On the final day of her Ghana tour, Kamala Harris had a mid-afternoon roundtable discussion with 7 women entrepreneurs. Kamala, who had delivered a resounding speech about women empowerment the day before at the Black Star Square, spoke about harnessing their potential in business without barriers. The 49th Vice President of the United States noted that countries greatly benefit if women are supported to lead and thrive.
The economic empowerment of women relates directly to the ability of that person to engage in innovation in a way that makes real the aspirations, the vision, and the dream that she naturally has. And of course, there's a direct correlation between policies that are directed at the economic empowerment of women and the general prosperity of societies.
She indicated that the U.S. government is set to invest billions of dollars as part of efforts to lift the economic status of women on the African continent.
Digital services are essential to 21st century economies. Yet there is a gender divide in the world. So today, to help address this, I am pleased to announce here with these leaders that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, together with our administration, will establish the Women in the Digital Economy Fund, which is a $60 million global fund. In total, these investments represent more than $1 billion that is being dedicated to advance women's economic participation across the African continent.
Some participants at the roundtable discussion shared their thoughts on the intervention.
I think this is something that women across the continent and even in the world have been advocating for ever since, which is women should be able to take up leadership roles, to be given the opportunity. But we would need people to help us to make laws to be able to also impact the laws. So it's a course in the right direction.
Her visit was timely. We are in a time where digital economy is booming, and there's this new trend on the use of AI and digital tools. So knowing that she's passionate about it and willing to invest in this sector, and especially in women-led startups, that is a good one.
Africa is battling with a lot of unemployment issues, and it has been ascertained that entrepreneurship is one of the ways that we can fight the unemployment issues on our continent. So if this opportunities that she's bringing is going to be able to tackle this aspect, for me, I think her speech was on point.
The U.S. Embassy is set to hold engagements across the country in support of women entrepreneurs.
Let's go over to Zoom and speak to Michael Nketia. He is an international relations analyst. Thank you so much for your time, Michael. It's been 3 days of meetings and pledges from the U.S. Vice President. What should be the takeaways from the visits of Kamala Harris?
Well, good evening to your viewers. First, I believe that this visit by the U.S. Vice President is a reaffirmation of America's commitment into the African continent. Since 2009, there has been a deliberate foreign policy by successive American governments towards Africa, and the message is simple. America has seen the emergence and dominance of countries like China, of Russia, of Turkey, of India on the African continent. And as America works so hard to protect and withhold its dominance and global superpower, particularly for the African continent, it seeks to neutralize the threats posed by these countries on the continent. And by so doing, by visiting countries like Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia, it shows that America is still committed to the African cause, and they are well determined to partner leaders with regards to ensuring the improvement of America's foreign policy. Again, we must put on record that this is a new direction being set by a new direction for America's foreign policy. We are not hearing much about security cooperation. We are talking much more about women empowerment, the economic empowerment of women, women in technological and digital innovations. We heard the Vice President talk about investments in climate resilient and risk infrastructure. All these are broader scopes and new dimensions that America wants to pursue as a new foreign policy approach with regards to the African continent. And we should also be mindful of the fact that it cannot be a coincidence that in a week that Russian President Vladimir Putin decided to write off over $20 billion worth of debts to Russia by of African countries, and in a week where Ghana's finance minister traveled to Beijing to go and negotiate our debt restructuring agreements with his Chinese counterparts. We had the U.S. Vice President also visiting the African continent and making series of promises, even promising a resident economic advisor to help the government of Ghana in addressing its current economic challenges. All these points to a particular direction. It tells us that America is very much concerned about protecting its global supremacy, and even if it could see some of its powers to emerging powers like China and Russia or even Turkey, it will not go down without a fight. We are very much determined to protect the interests of the African continent.
Now, Michael, we've had visits of former presidents like Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Barack Obama. Do you think these visits have made enough impact on Ghana-US relations?
Well, from very reliable sources, I'm well informed that the visit of Vice President Kamala Harris is supposed to prepare the way for a major visit that will be embarked on by President Joe Biden in the latter part of the year, hopefully in December. And it is set to usher in a new American foreign policy for the African continent. And I believe that previous administrations, we saw the visits of Bill Clinton, we saw Barack Obama, and we also saw George Bush.
Unfortunate that we've lost Michael Nketia, but he is an international relations analyst, wrapping up the tour of U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris to Ghana. She's also expected to visit other African countries.
Right, Portia, let's do some other stories now, and to the House of Parliament, where the decision to decriminalize attempted suicide has been hailed as a major victory for mental health care in Ghana by advocates and mental health professionals. Now, Parliament voted on Tuesday to amend the law in a move that has been universally welcomed. My colleague Judith Awatritando has more.
It passed almost unnoticed on Tuesday. But as news emerged that attempted suicide will no longer be treated as a crime, the general reaction has been one of relief.
It will now mean that people can talk openly about what is going on in their mind and seek help.
That is Dr. Osei, the immediate past president of the Mental Health Authority. He was a big advocate for the law to be repealed.
What it meant when the suicide or attempted suicide was a criminal conduct was that if anybody had an issue of thoughts or contemplating suicide, he will keep it to himself because he knows that I might be jailed. So he'll not seek out for help.
The latest available data in Ghana on suicide dates back to 4 years ago and says there's a suicide mortality rate of 6.6%. In simple terms, close to 7 people out of every 100,000 people die from suicide. And out of the lot, more deaths are recorded in males than in females. Between the year 2020 and 2021, attempted suicide cases increased from 777 to 902, with persons between the ages of 16 and 35 years, the prime of the country's youth, the most affected.
The Mental Health Authority blames relationship breakups, graduate unemployment, and financial distress as the leading causes, but advocates have been bothered for years about the lack of proper care and preventive measures for those dealing with mental health problems. Kobe Blay is a psychiatric nurse.
If you attempt suicide and you are not successful, you could be arrested. So very often, anyone who is attempting will make sure that they fully complete it. And that is where it's very important to provide an avenue where anybody who feels the need to die by suicide will rather be given an opportunity or be given the necessary help.
Section 57(1) of Ghana's Criminal Code says, a person who attempts to commit suicide commits a misdemeanor. Indeed, there's evidence of persons being fined and in some cases jailed for attempted suicide.
Why must you have a system that is so complicated that people with even mental health disorders cannot be catered for under our system? And that has been the status of our laws until recently. So what that meant was that if you were having some depressions and you want to, you feel like dying, what we are saying is that make sure you die. Because if you don't die, we will definitely come after you and we are going to prosecute you.
The law, which has been in force since 1960, is strongly associated with increased national suicide rates, as in other countries with similar laws. But advocates insist persons with suicidal tendencies must rather be given mental health support. MP for Medina Francis Xavier Susu is one of them.
There are several researches published even by the Ghana Mental Health Authority that shows that people who attempt suicide are people that have mental disorders. Because for a person to come to the decision to take his or her own life, most of them may be suffering from some extreme depression or some form of disorder. And so when those people are caught in the act, what they need is medical care and not imprisonment.
With the latest amendment, it would now be considered a mental health issue requiring assistance by law rather than a criminal offense. Advocates are convinced this will result in a drop in suicide cases.
At the end of the day, I expect that the incidence of people wanting to take their lives will go down.
To ensure that the law works, though, a lot more attention needs to be paid to the quality of mental health care, according to the Mental Health Authority. Judith Awochitando, TV3 News, Accra.
In more news tonight, hundreds of homes have been disconnected over illegal connection by the National Revenue Mobilization Task Force of the Electricity Company of Ghana. According to ECG, residents have deliberately bypassed installed meters to consume power without paying.
The electricity company extended its clampdown to Pambros in the Wager municipality of the Greater Accra region. It was easy to find households engaged in illegal connections. For the power distributor, it was time to fish out residents who had deliberately bypassed the installed meters to consume power for free. And to deal with the issue of community hostilities on the back of attacks on some task force members in Accra, the team was accompanied to the area by armed policemen.
On our revenue mobilization exercise, we came across this community last week, and we discovered that a lot of the households have bypassed the meters that have been installed. So there are a lot of illegal connections, and so we are here to disconnect them and rectify some of the situations.
The errant residents will be cut off from the national grid, and not even these explanations by some culprits were enough to convince the team.
The meters that they brought to us, when it rains, it rusts. And the distance to the vending point is also too far. Sometimes you go to the vending point and they will tell you the network is down.
The illegal worries a lot, and when the light goes off, no one comes to our aid.
When
you go to the ECG outlets, no one listens to us, so people find their ways.
The Electricity Company of Ghana has vowed to go hard on persons who engage in power theft and diversion of power lines to avoid paying requisite bills. And no matter who may be affected, the task force says it would go all out to recover the 5.7 billion cedis debt during the month-long exercise. Your neighbor may just be next. Emmanuel Samani, TV3 News, Wager, Accra.
In some politics, businessman Ernest Kobia has withdrawn from the National Democratic Congress flag-bearer race to back former President John Mahama. The remaining 3 aspirants have been cleared to contest the party's May 13 presidential primaries after selecting positions on the ballot.
Kojo Bonsu took his turn at the vetting committee on Wednesday.
I was asked about the economy, our Social Democratic Party tenants, and how I would rule Ghana. My tenure in office in Kumasi. It's not easy to go through such a vetting, and I think I'm so confident and I trust myself that qualified to become one of the people to lead NDC.
It was then the turn of Ernest Kobia to complete his vetting after he met the committee on Tuesday and was asked to bring other documents. But the businessman appeared not interested in the contest anymore. He had brought a handwritten letter to the committee informing the panel of his decision to withdraw from the race.
It's not I'm pulled out. I give you my support to JM. And it's a good decision for our lovely party to move further for future. We are not wasting anybody's time, and it's the best decision I took for the party.
The vetting committee, led by a former Speaker of Parliament, Edward Doe Ajaho, said the committee did not in any way intimidate the businessman.
This is the statement, and he said that it's voluntarily given. When he brought it, because of the question you've asked, we asked that they should indicate that it's a voluntary decision and not that he was intimidated. And he did that. And we call it Jorat in it is here. That is a voluntary decision of his, because we suspect that somebody might think in that direction. If I should go further, his letter says he has withdrawn to support JDM to win and save this country.
The 3 aspirants have thereby been cleared to contest the flag-bearer race after balloting for positions by their representatives. John Mahama will be number 1, Kojo Bonsu number 2, and Dr. Kwabena Dufo number 3.
All of them did well before us, and they all satisfied the conditions. If you look at the NDC guidelines, was that 1, you must satisfy the qualification and eligibility as prescribed in the 1992 Constitution. You have to satisfy the party constitution, and you must also satisfy the guidelines issued by the National Executive Committee of the party.
According to Edward Doe Ajaho, the Elections Committee is to take over with other activities in the run-up to the party's May 13 primary. Evelyn Tenkma, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's now go to Parliament, where the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament has directed the Education Committee to investigate the University of Ghana's willful disregard of a court order to reinstate students of the Commonwealth Hall after they were dismissed. Contributing to a statement by Bulsa South MP, Dr. Clement Apak, the MPs were unanimous in their condemnation of the university, whose council is headed by a former Chief Justice.
The management of the University of Ghana have refused to act in accordance with the dictates of the order. The police and other allied security personnel have been employed by the management of the University of Ghana to frustrate the efforts being made by the students to call attention to the management of the university to obey the order of the court and to reinstate them.
It's for an institution like the University of Ghana to disregard a court order
It is something that this House must take it seriously, and we must act as soon as possible. We should not allow institutions like the University of Ghana to disregard the laws, to disobey our court orders. It cannot be. And we will therefore call on everybody here to support the call made by my senior brother, Honorable Afak and Roxanne.
Mr. Speaker, Commonwealth produce the best gentlemen, produce the good husbands, produce the bold men, and produce a lot of leaders like my colleague said. And in the chamber, if you take the census and tie people here to halls in all the universities in this country, you won't go beyond Commonwealth as number one. That has the number of people in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, there's a lot to be learned from Commonwealth, and I think that the University of Ghana should obey the laws of this country and obey the court order and bring back the students.
I think I will refer this statement to the Committee of Education to ask them to engage the university and to report back to us why the university authorities, headed by the immediate past Chief Justice, she is the chairman of the University Council. So we expect that she would ensure that the law and order, respect for the courts, the sanctity of the court orders are respected. So I direct that the statement be referred to the Committee on Education to engage the university authorities.
Elsewhere, a former majority chief whip is incensed about the entrenched positions MPs take in decisions they take on the floor of Parliament that do not reflect the will and dictates of the constituents they represent. Now, eulogizing the former Old Tafo MP and former Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation, Dr. Anthony Akotosai Muntaka Mubarak says the conduct, if not halted, will cripple the current Parliament.
We are taking too much entrenched positions, both sides. Those in government taking so much entrenched position, those in opposition taking extreme entrenched position. And I can bet you this is not helpful. It's not helpful to our country. It is not helpful to the development of Parliament. The better both sides begin to think that there is a national interest above the MPP interest and above the NDC interest, will be sinking our country.
Let's go to the Ashanti region, where the completion time for the second phase of the Kejetia Market redevelopment may suffer a setback following the suspension of work at the project site. Over 400 on-site workers have been laid off and more expected to be retrenched by April 3, as sources have revealed. Traders at the Racecourse Market who were evicted from the old Central Market to pave way for the construction of the new market have described the current situation as troubling.
The project site is quiet, with no sight of construction activity going on currently. Work on this 10,000 capacity market stalled since December 2022 due to delay in release of funds to contractors. At 65% complete, the second phase of the Kejetia Market redevelopment may likely not meet the contractual timeline set for the project. Combined Kumasi Central Market Traders Union is demanding answers over the halt of work.
Do we as stakeholders not deserve to be told? Do we not deserve to get an explanation for why the market has been halted? Are we to sit aloof and watch as things happen? Because we have examples. We have seen the Crowfro market coming to a standstill for years. Are we to sit down and watch as the Kumasi Central Market also comes to a standstill? Our big question is, why is there a halt in the construction of the market?
The traders have warned they may be forced to hit the streets should government refuse to release money meant for the project.
We do not want to organize demonstrations, but if we do not hear from the people who should be responsible for this as soon as possible, then we have done it before. We can do it again. We are going to organize series upon series of demonstrations to send our grievances to the government. If that is what they want to see, then we will get that done.
The €248 million project is expected to be completed in June 2024. Its completion will boost economic activities in Kumasi and beyond. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
In other news tonight, Transport Minister Kweku Ofori-Asiamah has asked transport operators to support the National Road Safety Authority in its plans to ban commercial minibuses from long-distance journeys. The minister, who gave an indication he wasn't aware of the directive, eventually gave up in requesting media support.
After two separate accidents in the eastern region involving 3 minibuses claimed 17 lives, the National Road Safety Authority reiterated its intention to restrict commercial minibuses from intra-city services or routes exceeding 40 kilometers. The authority on September 16 last year issued a final caution to transport operators to caution drivers following complaints of excessive speeding and reckless driving by minibus drivers on the highways. The plans by the authority has not gone down well with the operators.
They jumped the gun by saying all these words. Road safety started this thing not today. Even the state itself now is using these Toyota buses for long distances, like Accra to Aplawu, Accra to Kumasi. They are using it because it's luxurious and it's durable and it's strong too as well. So them climbing down on those vehicles, to me, it is not the best.
The sector minister at a media briefing appeared to have no idea about the plans by the authority.
National Road Safety Authority to ban, you said you are going to ban what?
In a radius of about 40 kilometers.
Okay. But per the law, do you have that power to do that? Under the law, the new LI. Okay. That is good. And I think that we are developing this country together. And if it is that we need to take certain measures to protect our people, I need the support of the media in the course of this thing too, for you to support them. I'm sure people will come out, they will complain. But if it is that that's the decision we need to take to protect lives, I think that you should, let's support them when they try to institute such regulation.
From road transport to water transport, and the sector minister Kweku Ofori-Asiamah says the Ghana Maritime Authority and the Ghana Navy must be held liable for lapses in water transport in the country. The minister was responding to questions on passenger safety on water transport at a media briefing in Accra.
Ghana Maritime Authority, in conjunction with the Navy, are the ones who are responsible for the safety on the water lake. And at times, some of these things do happen. So the last time that this thing happened, I think that I called a meeting between the two agencies that they need to make sure that at least they increase their patrol system on the lake, because at times they close, and when they close, some of these traditional canoe operators don't follow the rules order. They don't. My information is that they don't operate 24 hours. So I've told them that if possible, they can do a 24-hour operation. The Navy is asking me to buy them an additional speed boat so that they can do, but you will see. It's unfortunate, and I'm sure that going forward, they will take cognizance of the lapses in terms of what is happening to make sure that they fill in.
A reminder, you're still watching News 360. This is our major news bulletin for the day. Still ahead in the bulletin, we've got the very latest in sports and also business news.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint. As compared to other paint brands on the market, we take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Delicious jollof in just 45 minutes and with no chopping, no blending, no cutting. Let me show you how. Pour oil in a pan. Add 1 210 grams pack of Tasty Tom jollof mix and fry 10 minutes on medium heat. Add 1 liter of water or stock water, season and salt, and bring to a boil. Add 800 gram or 2 cups of washed rice and stir well. Allow to cook until water is drained and your jollof rice is ready. So anytime you can't wait for delicious jollof, just reach out for Tasty Tom jollof mix. In 45 minutes, sharp, sharp, na jollof no abing. Tasty Tom jollof mix. Delicious jollof, sharp, sharp. This advert is FDA approved.
Every child is so unique.
You like no other.
Outstanding in every way.
It's me like no other.
So anytime you walk and play.
You like no other.
You are special like Indomie.
It's me like no other.
Did you know that every child on the planet has their own unique fingerprint like no other?
You like no other. I can play the drums. I'm talented. It's me like no other. I can sing. I can dance. You like no other.
As well as their own unique talents and abilities.
I can cook. I can paint. You like no other. Indomie. You like no other.
So every day, in whatever you do, remember you are special in your own way, like no other.
Thank you, Mom, for letting me know I'm special and for making me my special Indomie. Thank you, Mommy.
Introducing Indomie beef flavor. Buy now.
This effort is FDA approved.
Every day, you work hard, trying your best, without rest. You work hard night and day to get where you want. You never give up because you know what you are. And we know it too. Say yes to property. Adoha is the key. Drop by our showroom, the place at Rowan Bridge, the new project, or give us a call at 030 2789 757.
It's on my nephew.
Wow, this place has changed, yo. Angela, look at you all grown up, yo.
Some things never change, like Gino's quality recipe that gives my food that rich color, unique natural taste every time.
Smells good, yo.
Hey, sister. With the wapun sano and kasa, just like I remember.
Uncle, hurry up and let's open the suitcase.
Ajua, chai, name shrink quite far.
Best jollof I've ever eaten.
Wow, this is real jollof, Mommy.
Gino dear, Emma Adriana de Ankasa.
Say Gino dear, fie. It's delicious, yo.
This advert is FDA approved.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN.
And Ella Michelle is already standing here for the latest in the world of business. And Ella, you know how parents support their children.
Indeed.
And in the case of Zenith Bank, what's happening?
Well, now that we are getting the news that their parent company is supporting them, then we know that some of the orphanage banks that we've been raising concerns about, well, it looks like they would also have to get their parents involved.
You go ahead.
And the parent company of Zenith Bank Ghana has set aside $267 million to cover the steep loss losses it suffered from the domestic debt exchange program. And this is according to the Bloomberg News Agency. Zenith Bank is the latest to receive support from a mother bank to account for holdings in government bonds. My colleague Sani Abdurrahman has more.
According to Nigeria-based Zenith Bank PLC, which runs Zenith Bank Ghana, the domestic debt restructuring resulted in considerable losses to its operations in Ghana. Assets of the bank impaired increased by some $130 million from 2021, which is quite huge. Not just Zenith Bank, financial institutions across border are still counting their losses from the government debt exchange, which got them to swap their bonds that paid an average of 19%, with notes returning a little over 8%. Zenith Bank Nigeria is the latest to set aside funds to recapitalize its Ghanaian operations after some of Africa's big lenders voted nearly $500 million to cover losses incurred by their Ghanaian units due to the debt exchange. The banks covered included Stanbic, First National Bank, Absa, Stanchart, among others. Quite some good news because it will strengthen the capital positions of these banks, but bad news for shareholders. Continuously, the foreign banks are receiving support from their mother companies. The big question, however, is the fate of the indigenous banks who are yet to announce the extent of impact the debt exchange on their operations. More worrying is the situation of some banks that were already in distressed position even before the debt exchange.
A big question asked by my colleague Sani Abdurrahman. Obviously, Three Business will bring you the response to that. But away from that, investor interest in Treasury bills declined last week as the government missed its auction target by nearly 24%. Some analysts fear the government could miss its reduced target of 1.3 billion cedis for this week, following an increase in the policy rate from 28% to 29.5%. Speaking to Three Business, market analyst Kojo Lecha said the latest development would make Treasury bills less attractive.
It's highly likely that government may miss the target. Now, they may meet the target if they prop up the rates. That is if, because with regards to T-bills, it's still competitive in the bidding amongst the banks. So if the banks come with their rates and the government still picks it up, it will then draw up the weighted average rate. So it depends on what will happen. The banks go with their rates, and if the government decides that it can take it, it can accommodate it, why not? If not, and it gets turned down, these excess funds are all going to OMO, which, I mean, it makes sense. FD rates are going to be in competition with T-bills in the sense that, obviously, the bank, when they get the money, they can invest at a higher yield. So they'll prop up their FD rate. So if the government is giving you, let's say, 18.9% for a 91-day T-bill, the bank can offer, say, 21% for a 91-day investment. They pick the client's money and go and invest it at a yield of 28% on the OMO market.
Director of Financial Marketing at the Bank of Ghana, Stephen Opata, has reaffirmed the Gold for Oil program has contributed to almost 50% drop in ex-pump prices. This follows earlier remarks by Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia that the Gold for Oil program will ultimately lessen the burden of consumers at the pumps. Speaking in an interview, Stephen Opata said the drop in prices of petroleum products could be attributed to government's Gold for Oil program.
The projection by the Institute of Energy Security comes up following the relative stability of the local cedi against the US dollar, coupled with the price declines of oil on the international market. The second pricing window for March 2023 offered some respite to consumers on the domestic fuel market as prices of fuel dropped for the second time in a row. In the second pricing window, the price per litre for petrol stood at 12 cedis 85 pesos, diesel at 13 cedis 39 pesos, and LPG at about 15 cedis per kilogram. The Bank of Ghana has reiterated one of the major contributory factors for the price drop in ex-pump price is government's Gold for Oil program. Stephen Opata is the Director of Financial Marketing at the Bank of Ghana.
Part of it really has to do with the Go for Oil program, because we are able to, it's created a lot of competition in that sector, and that is also impacting on price. But more importantly, we are able to use this facility to procure oil at competitive prices, which we are translating to the export prices. Okay, so I think that what I want to share here is that, yes, export prices have dropped, and a big factor to this is not only international oil prices.
Well, that's some good news for consumers. They will be monitoring that. MTN, in partnership with the Communications and Digitalization Ministry, is to construct the first ICT hub in Ghana. The project, which starts in 3 months, is aimed at training the youth and giving upcoming entrepreneurs opportunities to expand their businesses.
$25 million has been allocated for the project. The construction of the facility is part of a broader plan called the Ghana Innovation Hub, with 3 pillars, namely the Accra Innovation City Project, the Ghana ICT Hub, and the Ghana Education Platform Project.
The hub will be a place where entrepreneurs and as well as the youth can come and do a number of things. ICT skills training, and we're seeking to have a center that can support in-person ICT skills development. We see this as a gap amongst the youth and an important area for our competitiveness as a country going into the future.
The Minister for Communication and Digitalization, Esla Owusu-Ekufo, is optimistic the hub will complement government digitalization drive.
It will create jobs, it will help us to deal with unemployment, it will enable our young people to acquire the necessary digital skills that they need. It will grow more startups in this space, and even the startups can be incubated and grown into larger companies that we're referring to as unicorns.
The hub will train 200,000 youth with ICT and digital skills and generates more than 100,000 jobs within the first 3 years after completion.
For more in the world of business, log on to 3news.com. My name is Adela Michelle. Sports news is after this break. Stay with us.
What does money mean to you?
It means convenience. It gives me the ability to do business at my own pace.
It allows me to live my life with ease and enjoy my lifestyle without interruptions.
Security. I can make investments I can trust, and I know exactly where my money is all the time.
Having the flexibility to do what I want to.
The feeling and peace of mind I get knowing I can safely receive remittances from my family and friends from the comfort of my home. Money means safety.
Money means so many things to so many people, but no matter what you use it for or what it may mean to you, money is the one thing that keeps us going and makes our lives a little bit brighter. So what does money mean to you? Just Momo it.
MTN.
The sweet scent of rose in the morning brings me so much joy. Inspired by damask rose and infused with 100% natural rose oil. Introducing new Clay Soft Perfume Beads Washing Powder. It's like bringing a garden with you everywhere with this wonderful perfume. Take a garden with you everywhere you go with Clay Soft Perfume Beads Washing Powder.
This is the breaking news. About 2,500 people 2,500 people have been.
We'll be right back after a commercial break.
When stubborn coughs, colds, and catarrh interrupt your life, get fast relief with Stop Cough. The Stop Cough range is suitable for adults, children, and babies.
In today's breaking news, Alex is back, and
there is a stop cough for every cough and for everyone.
there surely is.
Ask your pharmacist about the right stop cough for you. The stop cough range is manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Wake up! We have just 50 minutes to set off.
Let's go!
We want jollof for school.
Show up!
I'll make jollof.
Jollof? We have 45 minutes. What about the cutting, chopping, blending?
Tasty Tom Jollof Mix has all the ingredients to make jollof already mixed in the pack.
Is it going to taste the same?
So you say Eda pa.
And if I jollof no hooking me.
Pour oil. Add 1 pack of 210 grams Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Fry for 10 minutes. Add water, some cube, and salt. Add rice. In 45 minutes. Sharp. No jollof now bean. Right on time.
Delicious jollof and in 45 minutes?
How? Easy cry. Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Delicious jollof. Sharp. This advert is FDA approved.
Mothers of Africa.
Mama, will I ever be a soccer champion for Ghana?
Well, you've got to be like a geisha ball. Stay strong and go so far. Never give up till you reach your goal.
Okay, Mama. I'll be strong and go so far, lasting long like this geisha bar.
Be strong and last long
like geisha.
Hi, good evening. Let's do sports news now here on News 360. My name is Yao Ofosula. We're into our first story. We start off with the Ghana Premier League, where King Faisal took their number of home wins this season to 7 after clinching a 3-2 victory over Karela United earlier today. Let's check out the highlights.
Beko lays on the pass. They're trying to go through the middle. Yes, Beko now. This should be it. And Shaibu may probably be on his way to breaking the deadlock. King Faisal, quick response and leadership by example. Corner kick whipped in nicely by King Faisal, but it's headed away not too far though. Will they have a strike on target? From behind, Latif restores. Also Boachi going off. Oh, King Faisal against the run of play have scored again. And Karela coming forward, that's a lovely pass straight to the shot is on target. Goalkeeper went down but could not save the second opportunity. And Karela are back in the game. Referee Esodo Morrison brings hostility.
While still in the Ghana Premier League, though, Accra Hearts of Oak are leading Accra Lions by 1-0. But let's take you to another story, still in the Ghana Premier League, because over the years, black magic has been used in many forms by different teams to gain unfair advantage in the game. Hearts of Oak have been the huge culprits in recent times. PA Sports' Kelvin Ouswansa delved deeper on the issue ahead of GPL Express, which airs tonight at 9:30 p.m.
Superstition plays a big part in the lives of many footballers. Some have lucky pairs of underwear that they swear by. Why would you change them if the team keeps on winning? And more importantly, what will happen if you did? There have been strange rituals and beliefs upheld by players and teams before games. Laurent Blanc planting a kiss upon the shiny, bald head of the French goalkeeper Fabien Barthez before every game. Holland's greatest ever player Johan Cruyff slapping his Ajax teammate, the goalkeeper, gets balls in the stomach before kickoff. Liverpool captains tapping the badge at Anfield before they get to the pitch. Strange occurrences have been witnessed locally in the Ghana Premier League, and a notable one happened between Asante Kotoko and Aduana Stars. Both sets of teams entered the pitch with 10 players each instead of the normal 11 players. Kotoko right back Christopher Neti was cautioned for going into Aduana FC's goal before the second half started. Legends of Asante Kotoko, Safo Jemfi and George Kennedy share conflicting views on the efficacy of juju.
When they say juju,
Juju play football. Juju cannot play football, but only football there is Juju inside. Because when you make the Juju, you yourself, you cannot make you see that you are heavy. So that's why they say Juju. But Juju cannot play number 8 or he can play number 9. But only it's in football. Because when Ghana is playing, they made me interview. I told them that the match is hard. It will be a 10 minutes before Ghana will score. It comes through because it's one of my boys who I give him money to do that, and he told me. So football, it's inside.
I don't believe in Juju. Football has a lot of luck to play. When you have the luck, you can perform. But calling for Juju, I have never used Juju before. And for me, I think it's always good to play football with a natural ability, natural talent, and natural everything of yours than to call for a Juju. That one, I don't subscribe to it.
With great responsibility comes doubt. At the point when the bliss of thousands of fans rely upon what you and your allies do on the pitch, it is no big surprise that footballers rapidly forsake logic and rationality to embrace an unusual universe hogwash. It has been acknowledged that to feel some sense of certainty and to provide a means of feeling in control during competitive situations, many athletes practice some form of superstition. A famous fetish in Ghana, Nana Kweku Bonsam has attested to helping clubs win matches in an interview with BBC.
I say you're gonna get the card. They play and get the card. When the football is someplace, I take my car, go there, buy them drinks, tie them, say, hey, if it is 10 minutes, you're gonna win. They win it. I'm not joking. I didn't. From that time to now, I never collect any penny from anybody.
Not only the desire to win will motivate athletes to subscribe to Juju, but also fear of injury, culture, religiosity, and the pressure from team officials.
All right, so there's a longer version of this story at 9:30 p.m. when GPL Express comes on your screens. My name is Yao Fusulabi, and that's all the sports news this evening here on News 360.
Are you tired of struggling with bad financial situations? At Quick Credit, we understand the difficulties that come with transitioning to a better one. That's why we're here to simplify the process for you. With loan facilities from 1,500 cedis upwards, all you have to do is call and we will take care of the rest. All you need is your national ID. No savings, no collateral, no susu, no deposits, and no account opening required. Quick Credit has you covered. Whether you're expanding a business, starting a new one, facing an emergency like school fees or funeral expenses, or even just in need of a salary loan. What are you waiting for? Call Quick Credit today.
0302 200 390
or 059 692 0833.
We do not give loans via the internet.
Quick Credit is regulated and licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit. Lending made simple.
Every child is so unique.
You like no other.
Outstanding in every way.
It's me like no other.
So anytime you walk and play,
you like no other.
You are special like Indomie.
It's me like no other.
Did you know that every child on the planet has their own unique fingerprint like no other?
You like no other. I can play the drums. I'm talented. It's me like no other. I can sing. I can dance. You like no other.
As well as their own unique talents and abilities.
I can cook. I can paint. You like no other. Indomie. It's you like no other.
So every day, in whatever you do, remember you are special in your own way, like no other.
Thank you, Mom, for letting me know I'm special and for making me my special Indomie. Thank you, Mommy.
Introducing Indomie Beef Flavor. Buy now.
This effort is FDA approved.
Delicious jollof in just 45 minutes and with no chopping, no blending, no cutting. Let me show you how. Pour oil in a pan. Add 210 grams pack of Tasty Tom jollof mix and fry 10 minutes on medium heat. Add 1 liter of water or stock water, season and salt, and bring to a boil. Add 800 gram or 2 cups of washed rice and stir well. Allow to cook until water is drained and your jollof rice is ready. So anytime you can't wait for delicious jollof, just reach out for Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. In 45 minutes, sharp sharp, na jollof no abing. Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Delicious jollof, sharp sharp. This advert is FDA approved.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Awake Purified Drinking Water and powered by 3 Entertainment.
Good evening and you're welcome to the Entertainment News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella. Now for our first story, Ghanaian dancehall sensation Stonebwoy has unveiled the track list and cover art for his upcoming album. Now the album titled Fifth Dimension is his 5th studio album and is set to arrive on April 28 on all digital streaming platforms. The 17-track album features artists including Stormzy on Life and Money as the album's lead single, Angelique Kidjo, Shaggy, Davido, amongst others. Now, this album comes in 3 years after Stonebwoy dropped his last studio album, Anloga. We're definitely looking forward to that. But still on our VGMA Unsung Artist interviews, we have one now from a Galamsey worker to a security man, fast-rising dancehall artist, Chaka Hatinato. Now a promising music talent, the Accra Fanfula Kuna has earned a lot of street credibility with his energetic stagecraft. Earning a nod as a VGMA Unsung nominee, Chaka shared his experience with 3 Entertainment.
You know, I had no choice way back then. After school, you know, I had no father. I was staying only with my mom. So, as me being the leader, like you say, so I have to, you know, do something to survive. I have little kids, sisters at home to help, you know. So I have to find any ways and means to, you know, feed the family.
Are you scared?
Scared, Ghana, ha. On my way, move. No, Charlie. Soldier, you for move hard.
I mean, tell me a bit about choosing music. How did you get into that conclusion?
Okay, from the security side, that time we were doing that security jobs, I went to stay in Ashaiman for Charlie. So, and I used to perform on karaoke sections, and one guy walked to me and told me, say, hey Charlie, start up doing your own thing. I believe in you, say you can do it and do it better. So I put down pen, and before I realized, Chaka is doing massively well.
A lot of street credibility. People even have comparisons that, you know, you and Shatta Wale, you know, I'm sure you've heard those comparisons that they have done. But what do you think about it?
We learn from the best, do you understand? And the street got the best. So if I'll say to everyone out there, even if you are Dadabi, you have to bump onto the street, learn something from there. And me, you know, people comparing me to Shatta, Charlie, unye bibi, papa, ain't me found compare penny, you bab. Like you were saying, people compare me to Shatta, Stonebwoy. Some even say a culture, a aqualati semi. Then me, say I'm doing something very well. So, you know, it's just, you know, blessings. That's all I can say.
Definitely, you have a few words to say to people that, you know, helped you to get to this point. I mean, especially with the VGMA Unsung, what do you have for them?
VGMA, and most especially my label, Hits Music, you know.
Now, on that thankful note, that's how we wrap up on Entertainment News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella. I'll be handing over to Portia now.
Thank you so much, Noella. Coming up, international news.
Key
figures in artificial intelligence want training of powerful AI systems to be suspended amid fears of a threat to humanity. They have signed an open letter warning of potential risks and say the race to develop AI systems is out of control. Twitter chief Elon Musk is among those who want training of AIs above a certain capacity to be halted for at least 6 months. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak and some researchers at DeepMind also signed. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, recently released GPT-4, a state-of-the-art technology which has impressed observers with its ability to do tasks such as answering questions about objects in images. The letter from Future of Life Institute and signed by the luminaries want development to be halted temporarily at that level, warning in their letter of the risks future more advanced systems might pose.
Well, that's how we conclude News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. Thanks very much for making a date with us. For more stories, do well to visit our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Pa Kwesi Asare.
And I am Portia Gabo. We have Ghana Tonight with Alfred Okanse at 10 p.m. Have a lovely evening.
Yanara Sassani, airport in my Mojana Nanum Sheku Naditu my.
The grand success of the Study in India Expo at Accra in 2022. The Expo is back, not just bigger, but mega.